silence him. They erased his name. But he rebuilt from nothing. He fought every algorithm. They tried again and failed. Now he's back, stronger. From blackout to spotlight, he's at the White House, at the top of his game. Franchi lives.
You are about to enter another dimension, the dimension of truth, unfiltered and uncensored. Welcome to the Raw Feed with Gary Franchi.
Welcome to the Raw Feed. I'm Gary Franchi, coming to you live from the heart of America. Unfiltered truth to millions on YouTube. Hit those donation links below. Every contribution powers our gear. Every contribution keeps the party going. Help me help you. Hit those donation links. YouTube channel memberships. Special acknowledgement in the fellowship. Your super chats keep me standing. Your Rumble rants fuel every round.
Say hello to super chats.
Spread the intel. Every repost extends our reach.
Super chats fuel this spectacle. Your Rumble rants give me strength.
24/7 members-only community, behind-the-scenes discussions.
Connect with fellow patriots.
My mama always said, life is like sharing the truth. Text this stream to your friends.
What if I told you the app is real? Download the Next News Network app. Android users, take the Google Play path. iPhone users, App Store awaits.
Well, I think that we can safely say we're done varying now. Welcome to the first show of February 2026. My, how January just moved right past us. And Brian, I'm not seeing any chat comments. What's the problem? We won't have YouTube chat, but we're on YouTube, are we not? So Evie Mux is not going to allow me to see my chat room messages. Okay. All right. Well, I guess we'll have to figure out a different way to do that. I think I can pop out the chat. Pop out the chat. We'll move it over to my screen. But is that going to have an impact on when I switch? Because if I go ahead and click this, it goes away. Lovely. It's not one thing, it's another over here at the Next News Network. All right, I'll just have to do it the old-fashioned way. I'll have to read the chat from over here. I see you guys. I see a Rumble. And I see Cindy. Yeah. Oh, that's X. Okay, I see it. X, and I see this guy. This is also on Rumble. So I got Rumble and X, but I don't have YouTube. Okay. Whatever. I love technology. So where do we begin? Where do we leave off? I think I remember now. There is no chat on YouTube, says Cindy. I see the chat. You have to refresh your page, Cindy. Okay. The swamp creatures are panicking, and their desperate scramble to cover their tracks is about to blow up in their faces spectacularly. I'm Gary Franchi. This is the Raw Feed. Now, before we dive into today's explosive stories, let's take a moment for this day in history. On February 2nd, 1848, the Treaty of Guadalupe Hidalgo was signed, officially ending the Mexican-American War and adding over 500,000 square miles to American territory, including California, Nevada, Utah, and parts of several other states. It was one of the greatest territorial expansions in our nation's history, proving that when America negotiates from strength, we win big. And speaking of winning and losing, we've got 5 stories tonight that will absolutely blow your mind. Each one reveals just how corrupt the Democrat machine has become. Now President Trump's America First agenda continues to deliver victories while our enemies crumble. First up, we have Tim Walz caught red-handed admitting what conservatives have been saying all along. After weeks of Democrats screaming that fraud allegations were conspiracy theories, Minnesota's governor just confessed on camera that, yes, people did steal from taxpayers. $19 billion worth of theft, and now both Walz and Keith Ellison are getting dragged before Congress to answer some very uncomfortable questions. The House of Cards is collapsing, and these progressive darlings are about to face the music. But that's just the beginning. Our second story involves another member of the radical squad who's been living way beyond her means. We're talking about someone who came to America with nothing and somehow managed to accumulate a fortune that would make Wall Street executives jealous. Whistleblowers are coming forward with details about how campaign funds mysteriously flowed into certain family businesses while massive networks operated right under everyone's noses. The corruption runs so deep that even fellow Democrats are running for cover. Moving to our third story, we're witnessing another government showdown. But this time it's because Democrats absolutely refuse to ensure only American citizens can vote in American elections. They're literally willing to shut down the government rather than pass common sense voting requirements. Think about that for a minute. They claim to care about democracy while blocking the most basic safeguards that protect election integrity. The hypocrisy is staggering. Our fourth story should serve as a wake-up call for every patriotic American. Down in Texas, a traditionally red district just flipped blue. The reason why should terrify you. We're talking about millions in dark money, George Soros connections, and thousands of Republican voters who simply stayed home. This is what happens when we get complacent, folks. The left never sleeps, and they're pouring unprecedented resources into races most people aren't even paying attention to. And finally, we end tonight with some fantastic news about the Trump administration's incredible momentum. And yeah, okay. While the mainstream media obsesses over manufactured controversies, President Trump is delivering real results on the international stage. We've got major trade developments with India that will benefit American workers and businesses for decades to come. Plus, we're going to show you how cultural figures who were once part of the liberal establishment are publicly explaining why they've joined the Trump movement. The awakening is real and accelerating. Each of these stories connects to a bigger picture about the battle for America's soul. On one side, you have corrupt politicians enriching themselves while taxpayers foot the bill. You have Democrats who care more about illegal votes than legitimate elections. You have establishment Republicans who think they can coast while the left systematically conquers red territory. On the other side, you have President Trump delivering wins, brave whistleblowers exposing corruption, and ordinary Americans waking up to the truth about who's really fighting for their interests. So tonight we're going to break down exactly what's happening, why it matters, and what you need to know to stay ahead of the game. The raw and filtered truth is coming your way. So buckle up. This is going to be one hell of a show. Even though it's our, third take now? Great to see you all here. I think what I'm seeing here in the chat is, all the Rumble and the X. Good to see you guys. Now your chat messages will show up on screen if you're over on Rumble. I do see the YouTube chat as well on this side. All right. So, without further ado, I think we can safely move into our first topic of the evening. Tim Walz just made the admission that could end his political career forever. After weeks of Democrats denying massive fraud in Minnesota, Walz slipped up and confessed on camera. Did we have some people steal from us? Yes. $19 billion stolen from American taxpayers, and now both Walz and Attorney General Keith Ellison have been dragged before Congress with subpoenas. This isn't just about Minnesota anymore. It's about a pattern of corruption that reaches the highest levels of the Democrat Party. We're talking about $19 billion of your tax money that vanished into thin air while Walz, Ellison, even Ilhan Omar turned a blind eye. The House Oversight Committee is demanding answers on March 4th. But here's what really matters. If they can steal $19 billion in one state and cover it up for months, what are they stealing nationwide? Well, President Trump has already issued a warning. His administration will investigate every dollar and prosecute everyone responsible. This could be the scandal that finally exposes the Democrat machine's systematic looting of America. Speaking of national security threats, there's something that every American needs to understand about what is happening right now. Yes, we have some breaking news. On January 5th, 2026, the U.S. Department of Energy announced $2.7 billion in contracts to restore domestic uranium enrichment capabilities. This is not just government spending, it's a declaration of intent. America needs uranium, domestic uranium, and it needs it now. The U.S. consumes 50 million pounds of uranium annually, but produces less than 5% domestically. We're dangerously dependent on foreign sources, including Russia and China. The Democrats were busy stealing billions in Minnesota. Smart investors recognize the uranium crisis. And that's where Atomic Minerals comes in. They're positioned at the center of America's uranium renaissance, with strategic properties in proven mining districts. The Department of Energy contracts prove this is not speculation anymore, it's national policy. America First means energy independence, and uranium is the foundation of that independence. Visit the link down below for your exclusive briefing and be part of America's energy future. Because while Democrats steal from taxpayers, real Americans invest in American strength. We thank them for sponsoring this program. But here is the twist that should terrify every single Democrat. President Trump isn't just talking about investigating this fraud. He's promising to find out exactly who did it and where every stolen dollar went. The connections run deep. Ilhan Omar's fingerprints are all over the legislation that enabled this theft. Keith Ellison took donations after meeting with criminals. And now Trump's team has the power to follow the money trail wherever it leads. Here's FBI Director Kash Patel on the monumental fraud in Minnesota. With President Trump's leadership, he's been on this since day one. Check this out.
How long has the FBI under President Trump been on this?
With President Trump's leadership, he's been on this since day one. And let me rewind you back to the spring or summer of last year where I was on the ground in Minnesota myself. And I know you and your viewers care, as we do, deeply about protecting our children. And the first place we started, the FBI that is what we call with this program Feeding Our Futures. And we discovered a monumental fraud in Minnesota where individuals in the community and outside the community were fleecing the government for hundreds of millions of dollars. And last summer, we arrested, with our partners at DOJ, 75 individuals pursuant to federal indictments. So that was some of the work that catapulted us into this large-scale fraud investigation that has now captured the nation, and we have not stopped. We've been there since day one, and we're going to continue until we meet it all out, and we've surged resources in Minnesota to make sure that no one swipes money from children or any other American, and no government official, if any participated in this, will be apprehended.
Did your predecessor, we know Chris Wray of the Biden administration, was he looking into this?
I can't speak for my predecessor. I can just tell you the work we've done under President Trump, which is historic levels of reduction in crime across the country. And that includes fraud, not just in Minnesota, but around the country. And it includes heavily investigating and following public corruption for those in elected office that break the law to rob America of their taxpayer dollars.
I want you to listen to this for a moment. This is Governor Tim Walz. He has said, that he was cheated. He has admitted that fraud took place, but he's trying to have it both ways. This is him on, I guess, what they call MS Now. Listen to this.
You mentioned this fraud investigation and the reason that they're here. Is there anything you think, when you look back, you could have done differently to prevent them from showing up and doing what they're doing here?
No, they were coming anyway. It was all make-believe that we'd been at it. Every state had this.
I mean, what we're seeing in Minnesota seems unique, or is it make-believe and this is happening in every state and jurisdiction?
Well, thankfully, every state does not have this problem. I don't have another statistic to give you where we arrested 75 individuals in one summer for hundreds of millions of dollars of fraud related to a program that's supposed to feed malnourished children in underprivileged families. So I don't know what he's talking about. That's pushing it under the rug. And also, a fraud of this size, there should be state and local authorities alerting the FBI early on and participating in our investigation. We went up there and did it with the federal authorities and the DOJ. And we've continued to ask those in Minnesota and around the country of any information on this to let us know, because this investigation's not over. The size of the fraud continues to be exposed, and there will be more arrests coming.
Final question on this. A DHS source has told us that they have located $700 million in bulk cash by Somali couriers going through the Minnesota airport. By way of comparison, just $3 to $4 million goes per year through JFK and DFW. That number was over a 2-year period. Is this something that you're looking into, or is this solely in DHS's purview?
This is in DHS's purview, but of course, like any great interagency partnership, Secretary Noem and I and Tom Homan have a great partnership, and we're going to continue to collect information, and whether it falls into their lane of investigation or ours, we're going to make sure we put the resources necessary to expose those involved.
All the cash just flowing through the airports. Kash Patel. This is how the FBI revelation triggers a volcanic response from Trump himself. He's about to unleash on Walz like never before. President Trump just eviscerated Tim Walz after $9 billion in fraud was exposed. Here's what he had to say in North Carolina.
But think of that, in Minnesota, this beautiful place, once beautiful, I don't call it beautiful, you got a governor who's a stupid person. And he's corrupt and stupid. But he allowed this to go on. He allowed this to go on. Everybody knew what was going on. But what nobody knew is over $9 billion. And the people of Minnesota are not happy. And you know who's running for governor? Mike Lindell. Do we like Mike Lindell? That man suffered. That man suffered. What he did, what he went through, because he knew the election was rigged. And he did it. He didn't, I mean.
Mike Lindell running for governor in Minnesota. He put it all on the line, too. Trump's fury is only the beginning. Investigators are now launching formal probes with serious allegations about what Walz knew and when he knew it. Brandon Gill, one of them, launching an investigation into Walz over years of alleged knowledge about massive Somaliland fraud in Minnesota. Gill says Walz knew from the start and let it continue for nearly a decade. while taxpayers were drained and Democrats enriched.
Walz knew about this fraud in Minnesota since the day he came into office as governor. He's known about this for a decade or so. And Democrats had sort of an implicit deal with the Somali community there that they were going to turn the other way, allow these Somali immigrants to defraud American taxpayers to the tune of billions and billions of dollars. And in exchange, they expected that Somali community to vote monolithically for Democrats. It was kind of a Faustian bargain that Democrats have been doing for a long time and in many other places, too. So what we want to do is bring Tim Walz in and Keith Ellison and ask them, what exactly did you know? And when did you know about this fraud? And how did you know about this fraud? And why didn't you do anything to stop it? And I think that's something that the American people want to know as well.
Mm-hmm. Oh, we certainly do. And we look forward to that day. The investigation claims to get more explosive when you see the raw and filtered reaction flooding social media about this Somali fraud connection. Oh, guys, buckle up. You're going to love this. This has been trending. Somali Walz, a hilarious truth bomb. Are you guys ready for this? This is so funny. Enjoy the roast because it's all true. Watch this. Tell me that was not priceless. Oh, yeah. Social media on fire, but here's where it gets real. Trump isn't just tweeting. He's making direct threats about consequences and investigations. President Trump issuing a warning to Governor Tim Walz over the federal tax dollars. He says authorities are investigating who was responsible and where it went. This is at the premiere of the Melania documentary that our friend Michael Alfaro was at on the red carpet. This was at the Trump Kennedy Center over the weekend.
Mr. Homan, I'm sure you caught his remarks earlier today that he made in Minneapolis. Are you pleased with the job that he's doing? Do you feel that this change that you made, this personnel change, is an important one in terms of calming things down?
Well, I think he's terrific, but we have to get rid of the criminals. We have to take criminals out of our country. So from that standpoint, nothing's going to change. And we have to find out all of the fraud that's taken place in Minnesota. We have to get to it. They've stolen at least $19 billion, and we're going to find out who did it and where the money is.
We're going to find out who did it, where the money is, baby. Let's go. Trump's warning just became a reality Subpoenas are now flying. Both Walz and Ellison are being dragged before Congress. Minnesota Governor Tim Walz and Ellison have been subpoenaed. They're going to be performing before the House Oversight Committee on March 4th.
Under the nose of Ilhan Omar, Tim Walz, Attorney General Keith Ellison. We see a web of connections between them and those directly involved in the fraud. For example, Ilhan Omar alleged enabling introducing the 2020 Meals Act, which was ultimately subject to fraud. Held a campaign victory party at the Safari restaurant. That's where one of the men who run that restaurant has associations to the convicted individuals. And then there's Tim Walz. House Oversight investigation role in his role as governor. Or Keith Ellison, the Attorney General. His job is to enforce the law in Minnesota, but instead he's getting donations after meeting with the Feeding Our Future representatives. The Feeding Our Future, the biggest known yet part of this entire theft ring. The executive director of Black Lives Matter, by the way, over in Oklahoma City, has now been charged with wire fraud and money laundering. The organization raised more than $5 million in 2020, but she is accused of pocketing more than half of that instead of using it to bail out people for protesting in support of BLM. No, she pocketed, allegedly, most of that money. Oh, by the way, here she is. You want to see a picture of her? Here she is. Notice who she's in the picture with.
Oh, my God.
That's right. Congresswoman Ilhan Omar. But hey, it's just the system, right? Let's bring in our spotlight.
Wow. There are no coincidences in Washington, D.C. No, sir. The subpoenas just got validated in the most damning way. Walz himself was about to admit that there was actually fraud on his watch.
You're seeing what they're doing to us on the streets, but they are doing the same thing through the courts and their power of the agencies to defund all of state government, to make it, yes, we are the most generous state in the country with benefits and things like that. Did we have some people steal from us? Yes, and we put them in jail. They use it as an excuse to dismantle a progressive, functional state that's some of the highest quality of life.
Yeah, for the 90% of Somalis. So Tim Walz thought he could cover up $19 billion in theft. He thought Americans would never find out the truth. But his own confession just handed Trump's Justice Department everything they need to prosecute. March 4th isn't just a hearing date, it's a judgment day for the entire Minnesota Democrat machine. You see, the era of Democrats stealing billions while claiming moral authority is over. Trump promised to drain the swamp, and Walz just confessed to being neck deep in the muck. $19 billion stolen from hardworking Americans while Democrats lecture us about fairness and justice. The House subpoenas are only the beginning. This investigation will expose corruption that goes far beyond Minnesota. Every Democrat who enabled this theft, every official who covered it up, every politician who profited from it will face justice under Trump's administration. Do you believe that Tim Walz and Keith Ellison should face criminal prosecution for this massive fraud? Let me know in the comments. And don't forget to check out the Next News merch shop for gear that shows you stand with America First Patriots fighting corruption everywhere. All right. I'd like to have lunch one day. I'm in Northern Illinois. Comments on YouTube. Good to see all of our rumblers over there. And okay. So let me just say here, I just hit mark out and you should hear the tone in a moment. All right. Moving right along into our next topic of the evening. Now, I guess because I can't see our YouTube connection on this, I have to go into the streaming area here. It's good to see everybody able to find the stream tonight. Okay, no super chats to speak of at the moment, but that's your microphone. That's how you sound off. So, hey, look at that. Chris dropping $12. What's up? Thank you. Brian, did you get my message about the timer? My prompter. Oh, goodness. All right, I'm ready to begin. Ilhan Omar went from broke to a $30 million fortune in just 1 year on a congressional salary of $174,000. Now, whistleblowers are coming forward with explosive evidence connecting her wealth surge to the massive Somali fraud ring that just got busted in her own district. What they're revealing will shock you. Now, this isn't just another political scandal. This is systematic theft from American taxpayers during a national emergency. While hardworking Americans struggled through COVID lockdowns, Omar allegedly orchestrated a scheme that funneled hundreds of millions in relief funds through fake daycare centers and restaurants. Her husband's company went from zero value to $25 million, $30 million overnight. She's flaunting designer clothes while families lost their businesses. If Congress members can brazenly steal relief money meant for struggling children and families, what's next? This corruption threatens the foundation of our republic and proves the swamp will exploit any crisis for personal gain. Speaking of threats to America's security and independence, there's something every patriot needs to know about our nation's energy vulnerability. Some breaking news from January 5th of 2026. It went completely under the radar. The U.S. Department of Energy announced $2.7 billion in contracts to restore domestic uranium enrichment. Now, this is not just government spending. It's a declaration of intent. You see, America needs uranium. It needs domestic uranium, and it needs it now. The U.S. consumes, get this, over 50 million pounds of uranium annually, but we only produce 5% domestically. That's a national security crisis. While corrupt politicians like Omar allegedly steal taxpayer money, smart Americans are investing in America's energy independence through companies like Atomic Minerals. They're developing critical uranium projects right now, right here on American soil. Just like we're exposing political corruption, we need to expose our dangerous dependence on foreign uranium. Atomic Minerals is positioning itself at the center of America's uranium renaissance. When you invest in domestic uranium, you're not just building wealth, you're building American energy security. Get the full details from the exclusive briefing that's been prepared for you on how to invest in America's uranium future. It is linked down below. Now, back to Omar's corruption scandal. Yes, this is what makes it even more outrageous. Investigators are now tracking the fraud web to other Minnesota Democrats. Restaurant owners who hosted Omar's campaign events have been convicted of stealing $12 million in COVID funds. The rats are scattering, and they're all begging reporters to hear their stories before Omar throws them all under the bus. Bill Mitchell posted this: Ilhan Omar's world is crumbling fast. Whistleblowers spilling on massive campaign cash to her husband's firm and huge COVID fraud in Minneapolis Somali networks. She knew, she benefited, she covered for them. Breaking video exposing the corruption web. Watch this.
Now investigators are tracking the web of fraud to other Minnesota Democrats, such as Congresswoman Ilhan Omar. Many of the suspects linked to the scheme live in her district, including a restaurant owner who hosted events for her. He has since been convicted of stealing $12 million in COVID funds.
Millions of dollars in COVID funds just disappearing. This initial bombshell sets up the framework. Now we need to see what specific evidence is driving these claims. Don Keith writes, looks like the Queen Somalian rat is cooked. Reports say that Ilhan Omar's campaign funneled a mountain of money to her husband and his firm, while Somali-linked networks in Minneapolis conducted one of the biggest pandemic fraud schemes ever and stole millions. I think this is the same. Yeah, this is the same.
Now investigators.
So we've heard the accusations, but end wokeness is about to take us back where the pattern allegedly started years ago. September of 2020, undercover recordings by Project Veritas implicate Representative Omar in a Somali cash for vote scheme in Minneapolis. Okay, this is 2020, September. Project Veritas, undercover recordings. Buckle up.
Project Veritas has received an explosive piece of tape. The tape you're about to see shows a man buying a registration form for an absentee ballot from a voter, giving him, quote, pocket money, unquote, of $200 and expecting to collect his ballot when the voter receives it.
$800 for his ballot on another.
That's illegal. Why? We don't get illegal. How much are we?
Investigation exposed pay-to-play scheme in Minnesota.
She's the one who came up with all this.
So she did it. She
Yeah.
started this whole thing with the pay to vote.
Yeah.
So the people that work for Ilhan are actually counting the ballots, counting the vote.
And they become a manager in the prison too.
If you don't have absentee ballot, the ballot harvester vote for you in a polling booth.
They walk with you to the booth, and then they vote. Oh, vote this guy, vote this guy, vote this guy. Vote even if you speak English.
Osam al-Danik admits paying al-Shabaab. So you see how the money tracks all the way to Al-Qaeda linked groups. The historical context is crucial here. Now we're going to find out how Omar finally facing public confrontation. You're the one that should be deported, they say. Omar faces the public after weeks of avoiding culpability in the Minnesota corruption scandal, costing the USA tens of billions, profiting $30 million personally. Remember this moment?
Secretary Kristi Noem must resign or face impeachment. I don't know.
Oh my God, he sprayed something on her.
And of course,
I need a napkin to know nothing.
And of course, her first public appearance, what happens? She comes out, and there's a clearly staged event that is meant to drum up sympathy for her. But of course, if you, and I've brought this up before, if a congresswoman or whatever is publicly assaulted with a chemical spray, why wasn't she rushed to the hospital? Right? You'd think that she'd be rushed immediately to find out what happened. But of course, we find out later that this person has deep ties to Ilhan Omar and the left. So it's all a scam. It's all stage. Freemason writes, Omar is a scammer from Somalia. She's an anti-American turd. Comment, like, and share. Let's check out this guy.
Enter Congress with a negative net worth in 2019 and shoot up to a $30 million net worth just in 6 years. Let's ask Ilhan Omar. I expose how corrupt politicians are, so make sure you follow me. In 2019, Ilhan Omar was elected into Congress. She started her first year, and her financial disclosure for that year was a negative net worth. When this was first reported, she absolutely denied the fact that she's a millionaire. But then a couple months later, she filed her financial disclosure. We saw a 3,500 increase in net worth compared to the previous year. Now, members of the U.S. House of Representatives earn about an annual salary of $174,000. Even if she saved every penny from her salary from the last 6 years, it wouldn't be anywhere close to $30 million. So what did suddenly happen? Oh, let's look at her husband's businesses, Tim Minette. Ilhan and her husband own two businesses, one of them being a winery and the other one being a venture capital firm. 2023, the value of the winery was roughly anywhere between $15,000 to $50,000. And just a year later, that same winery is now valued at anywhere between $1 million to $5 million. If you think that's suspicious, wait till you see this venture capital business. In 2023, the company had less than $1,000 in assets. Well, a year later, this venture capital that anyone can invest into is now valued at $5 million to $25 million. And what's even crazier is that the company claims to have $60 billion in assets under management. So Ilhan, please tell us, how does this happen? Is this just by luck, or is somebody or a foreign country perhaps funding this?
Yeah. I think that we're going to find out some answers real soon, though. The personal attacks are escalating, but Rick Heidner, who's running for governor in Illinois, posted this. Breaking: Tim Walz, Ilhan Omar, and Keith Ellison now directly linked to the Somali fraud ring. Every fraudster in government must be held accountable. There will be zero tolerance for this kind of corruption under my watch in Illinois. It ends now.
Omar, Tim Walz, Attorney General Keith Ellison. We see a web of connections between them and those directly involved in the fraud. For example, Ilhan Omar alleged enabling introducing the 2020 Meals Act, which was ultimately subject to fraud. Held a campaign victory party at the Safari restaurant. That's where one of the men who run that restaurant has associations to the convicted individuals. And then there's Tim Walz. House Oversight Investigation role in his role as governor. Or Keith Ellison, the Attorney General. His job is to enforce the law in Minnesota, but instead he's getting donations after meeting with the Feeding Our Future representatives. The Feeding Our Future, the biggest known yet part of this entire theft ring.
Theft ring. That's what it was. Rick Heidner posting. He's running for governor. Check him out. We need some strong leadership in Illinois. Make sure this stuff doesn't spread. But, of course, I'm sure it's deeply rooted corruption going on in Illinois. Now we're seeing the scope widen dramatically. This isn't about just one congresswoman. It's about the entire network. Whistleblowers confirm Ilhan Omar's campaign funneled a massive amount of money to her husband's firm. Multiple sources confirming the same story. The massive Somali fraud ring is in Omar's district. Omar mysteriously went from negative net worth to tens of millions in a year's time. But I'm sure it's all a coincidence, right?
Ilhan Omar make $30 million in 1 year when her congressional salary is $174,000. This seems very likely connected to the massive Somali fraud ring that was just exposed in her district in Minnesota. It turns out her husband, Tim Minette, has a company called Rose Lake Capital, a venture capital management firm. Its reported value in 2023 was $0. Ilhan Omar's net worth was actually in the negative, and somehow the reported value of that firm has now gone to between $5 and $25 million. And she has the pricey fashion items to show for it now. She also has multiple connections with people tied to this massive Somali fraud ring, including a video of her dishing out food at a restaurant that's at the heart of the scandal. Because, oh yes, it wasn't only learning centers being used to pocket money.
Quality Learning Center is a daycare, yet they spelled learning wrong.
There were also restaurants claiming to serve millions of meals to children without any verification. I would also just like to add, as a side note, that Ilhan Omar is currently on her third husband, whom she had an affair with when he was working on her campaign, and she was paying his consulting firm millions of dollars while cheating on her second husband. Not the brother. That was the first one. This was the second one. But, you know, I guess once a cheater, always a cheater.
Oh, yeah, baby. Let's go. Let's go. Financial evidence is damning. Doge Queen shows us the investigation is gaining momentum with more whistleblowers coming forward. Omar is done. Wake me up, though, when a politician is arrested. A politician who came from less than nothing, amassing a $30 million net worth in a year, is not the American dream. That's corruption, graft, and criminality. This call for criminal prosecution leads to Mayor Seeley's proposal for how to actually investigate this systematically. He says Matt Gaetz should be appointed special counsel to investigate not just Ilhan Omar, but the corruption of all members of Congress. Matt Gaetz as a special counsel is one approach, but Betsy Ross represents the public anger demanding immediate consequences. Deporting Ilhan Omar would be too good for her. She deserves to spend the next 50 years in jail for theft, fraud, and corruption. So Matt Gaetz should be appointed as special counsel to investigate not just Omar, but yes, every corrupt member of Congress. Politicians spell learning wrong on their fake daycare centers while stealing millions. You know the swamp has hit rock bottom. Omar's days are just numbered. And this is exactly why Americans voted for Trump, to drain the swamp, to hold these corrupt politicians accountable. Omar allegedly went from negative net worth to $30 million by exploiting a pandemic while children suffered. She deserves prison and not deportation, and the evidence is only mounting. The whistleblowers are talking. Justice is coming. It's time to clean house in Congress and show these corrupt politicians that stealing from American taxpayers has consequences. Do you think Ilhan Omar should face criminal charges for this alleged corruption scheme? Let me know in the comments, and don't forget to check out the Next News merch shop to show your support for real journalism that exposes the truth that the mainstream media just won't touch. All right, moving right along. And I can see we have $22 in super chats so far. Are the Rumble Rants, did the Rumble Rants show up over here? I think they may. I'm not sure. But I do see you guys over here chatting on Rumble. It's a friggin' jihad, says, go back to California. The swamp is hemorrhaging, says David. I agree with you, Gary, says Rose. Return them from where they came. Totally with you guys. Totally with you guys. We're going to keep moving into our next topic of the evening. Okay, they are shipping. They said they are shipping, but haven't confirmed if they've shipped yet. Oh, yeah, baby. Size 12. Send the size 12. Let's go. Okay, you guys have seen those Trump shoes? Yes. I'm like, you guys have to send me these shoes because I need to really show them to you guys. Plus, I want to pimp them. I want to wear those gold shoes. All right. It sounds like I'll be getting them pretty soon. I love it. All right. We're going to move into our next topic here in just a moment. Getting everything queued up. I keep looking at the timer in my prompter. If you guys, okay, here's what's going on. The timer in my prompter is actually upside down. And I think it's backwards too. Yeah, I think it's either way, whatever. At least Brian's got a backup timer for me because Brian understands redundancy. Okay, let's go. The Senate just voted 45 to 55 to reject keeping the government open, and it's all because Democrats refused to let the SAVE Act pass, the bill requiring proof of citizenship to vote. Chuck Schumer literally said he'll force an extended shutdown if it reaches his desk, but here's the part they do not want you thinking about. It's not just about government funding anymore. This is about the future of American elections. Democrats would rather shut down the entire government than require proof of citizenship to vote. Think about that. They're willing to furlough federal workers, disrupt services, and create chaos rather than ensure only citizens vote in our elections. Meanwhile, they're also approving kill switches in your car that can remotely disable your vehicle during emergencies. The same government that can't keep itself funded wants the power to turn off your transportation. You see, this is about control, pure and simple. They need non-citizen votes to win, and they'll burn it all down to protect that advantage. Now, you know what won't shut down? Your ability to make a statement that shows exactly where you stand. You ever see something and instantly know it's going to turn heads? That's exactly what happened when I saw these Trump Never Surrender gold sneakers. These aren't subtle. They're not supposed to be. Gold finish, red, white, and blue details, never surrender right on the shoe. You put these on and everybody knows you're not backing down from this fight. Well, Democrats are surrendering America's election integrity. You can literally wear Trump's fighting spirit. These shoes say what we're all thinking, that we're not giving up on America, and that's the energy that we need right now. There's a link in the description. Get yours now before they sell out, because surrender is not in our vocabulary. But Ron Johnson just exposed the real game here. He's been in Congress 15 years and says appropriators actually like shutdown leverage. They use government employees and the public as pawns. 6 appropriations bills passed out of 12, a 96.7% failure rate. This is not incompetence. It's called strategy. And now Congress has approved kill switches in every new car going forward. They can remotely disable your vehicle during any emergency that they declare. Now, here's the Horizon posting. The government shutdown. Senate voted 46-54 to keep the government open, and it failed. Democrats tied it to DHS funding. Some Republicans voted no, too. Shutdown 2.0 on the horizon. Here's the moment of the vote. Motion to invoke cloture on the motion to proceed. H.R. 7148, the Consolidated Appropriations Act. The Senate failure is sparking Republican counter-strategy. Now House conservatives are plotting their next move. Support is mounting for Representative Anna Paulina Luna's procedural maneuver, forcing the Senate to vote on passing the SAVE Act if Chuck Schumer sends the funding bill back to the House.
Bills have to come back to the House. And so I've actually formed an alliance with a handful of other Republican members that will refuse to vote on any legislation to send it over to the Senate unless there's something specifically placed in it in something called a rule that would prevent the Senate from stripping out the SAVE Act. So it would force them, if they choose to shut down the government, when they choose to reopen it, they will have to also then to simultaneously vote on the SAVE Act, which would basically save our country with election integrity. So we can play this game of chicken, but I do have a handful of Republicans that will stand with me very strong and ensure that this is done on behalf of the American people. So we're here to deliver.
Congresswoman, I tried to understand.
Yeah. If there's one thing we need right now, it's the SAVE Act. The procedural chess match is heating up. Now we see Democrats firing back with their own hardline stance on the SAVE Act. Chuck Schumer announced Democrats will block any attempt to pass voter ID and citizenship to vote in the Senate through the SAVE Act, saying it's DOA in the Senate. It imposes Jim Crow restrictions on voting. He admits to cheating, and of course the calls to nuke the filibuster are climbing. Schumer's rejection isn't happening in a vacuum. The government has actually begun shutting down while the political standoff intensifies. U.S. government partially shuts down. Senate passes $1.2 trillion budget. House fails to act. Non-essential workers furloughed. Markets shrug for now. Yeah. So as federal workers get furloughed, the pressure is building on Republican leadership to take more drastic action against Democrat obstruction. Pressure on Senator John Thune is hitting a new high to nuke the 60-vote filibuster after Schumer vowed to block the SAVE America Act, voter ID and citizenship requirements forever. Enough games, enough fraud. End the zombie filibuster. Pass it with 50 votes.
Repeatedly urged the passing the SAVE Act as well as many MAGA Republicans. What is the holdup in the Senate? Why hasn't that been brought to the floor for a vote? And what's your stance on requiring proof of citizenship to vote in elections?
Well, I'm for that. I've co-sponsored the SAVE Act in the past. I think my understanding is that they are still modifying the bill. It includes right now a requirement that you be a citizen to register to vote, but it doesn't include a requirement that to vote you be a resident. So in other words, if you're going to have what we call voter ID or photo ID when somebody goes into the ballot box to vote, that's not currently covered in the bill. So that's being fixed and addressed, and I think the new bill that comes out hopefully will deal with that. But I mean, at some point we'll have that vote. I'm for it. I think most of our colleagues in the Senate are, and I don't, it hasn't had consideration in the relevant committee yet. But I know there's a high level of interest among our members in getting a vote on SAVE Act.
So do you hear what he said? They have to modify it. Because right now, it's just to register, not to actually vote. But the filibuster pressure on Thune is translating into grassroots momentum. And Paulina Luna's tactical approach is gaining serious traction among activists. Gunther Edelman writes, support is surging for Paulina's move to force the Senate vote on the SAVE Act if Schumer sends the funding bill back to the House. I believe this is the same clip. Yes, this is the same clip again that's been circulating wildly on X. Luna's procedural gambit is becoming a rallying cry, and Republicans are coalescing around the nuclear option approach to force the Democrat hands. Lance writes, enough is enough. Nuke the filibuster. Chuck Schumer just announced Democrats will block any attempt to pass voter ID and citizenship vote in the Senate through the SAVE Act. Yeah. The filibuster debate reaching a fever pitch. Senate leadership is facing unprecedented pressure to abandon traditional rules. And as you know, President Trump himself has already been telling them, get rid of the filibuster, get rid of it now. It's one of the biggest roadblocks to his America First agenda. Pressure exploding. Enough games. End the zombie filibuster. Pass it with 50 votes. Senate Democrats voting to shut down the government with a 45-55 vote. Everyone needs to realize what's happening. Democrats are willing to let every family in the country on food stamps go hungry to stop ICE from deporting their illegal voters. The human cost is becoming the political weapon, but some are stepping back to question whether the whole system is just fundamentally broken. The recount writes, it's government shutdown time again, which seems like the perfect time to talk about Congress's dysfunctionality.
Scale of 1 to 10, how dysfunctional is Congress currently?
I mean, this has got to be like a 9.5. Like, I think a 9.5 right now.
Well, the 10, I think, is the most productive, right?
No,
So
most dysfunctional. Yeah. Whatever scale makes you sleep better.
Yeah.
I'm going to say 9.5 because you guys have kept your speaker for more than 6 months. So
we get 0.5.
Yeah, you get 0.5.
Yeah, we'll take it. That's a win.
Yeah, dysfunctional. Certainly. While critics debate dysfunction, hardcore conservatives see this as the ultimate test. Will Republicans finally force the citizenship voting issue? Chuck Schumer says he'll force an extended government shutdown if the SAVE Act requiring proof of citizenship to vote reaches the Senate.
Of workers, we have a population that is not reproducing it on its own with the same level that it used to. The only way we're going to have a great future in America is if we welcome and embrace immigrants, the dreamers, and all of them, because our ultimate goal is to help the dreamers, but get a path to citizenship for all 11 million or however many undocumented there are
here. He knows. Schumer says the SAVE Act will be dead on arrival. The hardline stance is prompting calls for systemic reform. Some Republicans want to eliminate shutdowns entirely as political leverage. Senator Ron Johnson, Congress should pass my Eliminate Shutdowns Act, or at least my Shutdown Fairness Act, to ensure the government continues functioning to minimize the harm of congressional dysfunction. Unfortunately, uniparty appropriators want the leverage of shutdowns.
Well, what we should do is pass my Eliminate Shutdowns Act, or at a minimum pass the Shutdowns Fairness Act, so the government's going to continue to function even if we're dysfunctional. I've been there for 15 years. We should have passed 180 appropriation bills prior to the fiscal year they're going to fund. We've passed 6. It's a 96.7% failure rate, but the uniparty appropriators like the shutdown leverage they have, basically using government employees and the public as pawns in the dysfunctional game. That has to end. Eliminate Shutdown Act would end this. Shutdown Fairness Act would at least pay people that, they're going to get paid anyway, but you pay them on time.
Ron Johnson laying it out. But even as some seek procedural solutions, others are raising alarm about government overreach in a completely different area. The control extends far beyond voting. The government just put a kill switch in your car and called it safety. A man went viral after pointing out that Congress has now approved technology requiring new vehicles to include a remote shutdown capability, a literal kill switch that can disable your car.
See this? So Congress just determined that every new car going forward has to include a kill switch, which gives them the ability to turn off your car if they so choose, that you're in a state of emergency. Really interesting. This is so Orwellian that Orwell himself would not believe it, and we need to start being very honest with each other as citizens of the United States. Our government, Congress, does not represent the voice or the will of the people, which was supposed to be their job originally. And if we do not fundamentally change the way our government behaves, we are forever lost as citizens because they're all bought and paid for, and they do not care about us.
What do you think about that? Kill switch in your car? From kill switches to voting rights, the control theme brings us back to the immediate crisis, the government shutdown that just became reality. The Senate rejecting keeping the government open, 45-55 vote as Democrats hold DHS funding hostage. So here is what is all really comes down to. Democrats know they can't win if only citizens vote. Schumer admitted it by threatening to end shutdown, but end an extended ending an extended shutdown over the SAVE Act. They need those non-citizen votes, and they'll destroy government function to protect them. The mask is completely off now. See, the SAVE Act isn't radical. It's common sense. Requiring proof of citizenship to vote should be automatic, not controversial. But Democrats would rather watch the government burn than to let it pass. They're showing you exactly who they are and what they prioritize. It's not American workers. It's not government function. It's not even basic election security. It's power at any cost. When someone shows you their priorities this clearly, believe them. Do you think requiring proof of citizenship to vote is too much to ask? Let me know in the comments. And while you're there, check out the Next News merch shop for gear that shows you're not backing down from this fight either. All right. What do you guys think about our new slides? We got some new slides there. I think they're pretty slick. All right. We're at $23.99 in Super Chat revenue today. And the viewers are here. You're here. That's what matters. We got to move into our next topic here because something big just happened in Texas. It's a massive red flag. And every American should be very, very concerned. Brian, I'm ready when you are. A Republican stronghold that Trump won by 17 points just flipped Democrat by 14 points. That's a 31-point swing in deep red Texas. George Soros dumped $7 million into this race, while 26,000 Republicans decided to stay home. This isn't just about one district. This is about the future of conservative America, and what happened next will stun you. Now, here's what this means for you personally. If Democrats can flip a district that Trump won by 17 points, nowhere is safe. Your conservative representative could be next. The dark money machine that targeted Texas is coming for your district with the same playbook. Socially, this proves the left's billionaire puppet master will spend unlimited cash to buy elections and silence your voice. They're not just targeting politicians. They're targeting the America First movement itself. Politically, this 31-point swing signals a coordinated assault on Republican strongholds nationwide. If we lose Texas, we lose everything. The midterms are just around the corner, and Democrats proved they'll spend whatever it takes to crush the conservative resistance. And speaking of strategic vulnerabilities, there is breaking news you need to know about for our national security. Under the radar, this happened January 5th, 2026. U.S. Department of Energy announced $2.7 billion in contracts to restore domestic uranium enrichment capabilities. This is not just government spending. It's a declaration of intent. America needs uranium, and it needs domestic uranium right now. Did you know the U.S. consumes 50 million pounds, 50 million annually, but sadly only produces 5%? We are dangerously dependent on foreign sources, including countries that don't have our best interests at heart. While Democrats focus on flipping district with dark money, smart Americans are securing their future with atomic minerals. They're the only company positioned to capitalize on America's uranium renaissance. With government contracts flowing and domestic production ramping up, uranium stocks are primed for explosive growth. Don't let foreign independence threaten your financial security. Visit the link in the description for your exclusive briefing that has been prepared just for Next News viewers to learn how uranium investments can power your portfolio while strengthening America's energy independence. The link is down below because America's strength starts with energy independence. Now back to this Texas election disaster. Now, here's the twist that nobody's talking about. Trump himself just called for nationalizing voting systems, saying Republicans should take over elections in crooked states. He's connecting the dots between illegal voting and these mysterious swings. Meanwhile, forecasters are warning this Texas result means Democrats are outperforming their 2024 baseline by 12 points nationwide. Are you scared yet? Are you concerned yet? Are you paying attention yet? The party that wins special elections typically takes the House. Here's President Trump. Says he doesn't know about the elections in Texas, but this is what he had to say.
He says he doesn't know about it, but he actually does. He posted 3 separate times about it before the election, trying to prop up the Republican candidate. David, we've seen the president's...
President Trump knows what's going on. Now, this wasn't just any loss. It was a historic GOP stronghold crumbling after 5 decades. The GOP just lost a special election in Texas they held for 50 years. 50 years. Wall Street Journal says that Stephen Miller's mass deportation strategy is to blame and that Republicans are turning on him. Is that right?
The Republican Party is heading towards a blowout in the upcoming November midterms, largely due to the policy of Donald Trump, Stephen Miller, and mouthpieces like Kristi Noem and Kash Patel constantly embarrassing the party. What we're about to see is going to be a unique wave according to all available polling data and according to a special election, actually 2 special elections that just happened in Texas over the weekend. So after these special elections were just disastrous for the Republican Party, certain Republicans came out and began to blame this on Stephen Miller. Now, don't get me wrong. The onus also falls equally on Trump, who is going all in on the most radical deportation policy, but it's no secret that Stephen Miller is the one who guides a lot of this behind the scenes. Murdoch paper warns Trump that Stephen Miller's plot is backfiring after the humiliating GOP defeat. Now, Stephen Miller's, again, his messaging strategy is being rejected pretty roughly. Stephen Miller tweeted out just yesterday, in America, for generations now, the policy has been that anyone who would economically benefit from moving to the U.S. can do so. Exercise the franchise in the U.S. and their children, the moment they are born, will be full citizens with all the rights and benefits therein. Yeah, that is embedded directly in the Constitution, you racist weirdo. And someone replied, like, if you didn't know that Stephen Miller was an insane racist, you'd think that he was proudly describing the best thing about America.
So you can see on the left, they're already celebrating this, pointing fingers. Wall Street Journal's reporting on Miller gives us the why behind the shocking flip. Now let's look at how dramatic the swing actually was. Texas 9 didn't just swing to the left on Saturday. It took a rocket ship. Should the GOP be worried? Dems are now outperforming Harris's 2024 baseline by 12 points in the average. Okay, guys, listen, this is the warning. This is the warning. Wake up. How many people stayed home from that election? 28,000? That could have cost the entire election. You cannot sit out on the midterms. Holy cow.
That's exactly right. Texas 9, because what happened in Texas 9, it didn't just swing to the left, it took a rocket ship to the left. My goodness gracious, the Texas 9 Senate District election marches. This was a district that Donald Trump won by 17 points in 2024. The Democratic candidate in the special election on Saturday, won it by 14 points. That's an over 30-point shift to the left. Any Republican, unlike Ron DeSantis, who doesn't take this seriously, they should realize that this is very perilous. They ignore this result at their own peril. Ron DeSantis is right to say, hey, special elections can be quirky, but this ain't no quirk.
Congressman Pete Sessions from Texas basically told me, he said, no Democrat should ever win in North Texas like this. Although he also said, there was an ice storm, 31 points. That's not an ice storm.
No, that ain't no ice storm. If you ignore this, you're going to ice yourself out of a majority come the midterms.
All right, when we look at these special elections, and this is something you and I talk about a lot and look at very closely in between the federal elections, what can they tell us?
Okay, so, you see this 31-point shift to the left, right? If this were just one election, that would be one thing. But it's the slew of special elections that together paint a picture, and it's a picture that Democrats should love and a picture that Republicans should be really worried about. Because what are we talking about here? Okay, the average 2025, 26 special election, Democrats are doing, get this, 12 points better. 12 points better than Kamala Harris did in 2024. That was a state special election that happened in Texas on Saturday. If you look at the federal special elections, this 12 points is actually north of 15 points on average. I was looking back through the history books. This looks a whole heck of a lot like what we saw during the 2017-2018 cycle, where you saw these Democrats outperforming how Hillary Clinton did in 2016. And what did it forecast? It forecast a net gain of 40 seats for Democrats. And I remember back in Pennsylvania, remember there was that Southwestern, that was a congressional special election seat, but that was one in which the Democratic candidate was able to actually win a deeply red Republican district. And that, of course, foretold big Democratic gains come 2018.
Foretells how? I mean, how frequently do these special elections foretell what happens in the midterms?
Okay, so you see this 12-point overperformance. You see this 31-point overperformance. But that don't mean nothing if it ain't forecastable to the midterm elections. So what are we looking at here? Well, take a look at special elections since all the way back in the 2005-2006 cycle. 5 out of 5 times the party that outperforms in the special elections goes on to win the U.S. House of Representatives. And this, of course,
Okay, guys. Do you understand the consequences here? If we lose the House, it's over. It's over. The impeachment proceedings are going to begin. They're going to start dragging every member of the administration before Congress. They're going to hamstring us, and it is over. The MAGA party is over. This is really serious, and I cannot impress enough. We need to heed this warning right now.
Paints a picture, right? Texas 9, the special elections, the history of special elections in which Democrats look like they're in the catbird seat to take back the U.S. House come 2026 November.
Which is why Ron DeSantis and others are nervous this morning. Harry,
they should be.
Thank you.
Yeah. And why I'm nervous this morning. These numbers aren't just numbers. They're a rocket ship trajectory that has major implication for what comes next in American politics. Trump calls for nationalizing voting. Listen.
And they vote illegally. And amazing that the Republicans aren't tougher on it. The Republicans should say, we want to take over. We should take over the voting in at least 15 places. The Republicans ought to nationalize the voting. And we have states that are so
corrupt that they just make up the votes. You don't need to tell me. Trump's response to the loss reveals exactly how rattled the GOP is. The data backs it up. Texas 9 didn't just swing to the left. It took off like a rocket ship. While Trump lashes out, the hard numbers from the forecasters tell the real story. Millions in dark money fueling the Democrat in this race. Lay for Texas. 26,000 Republicans haven't voted in this special election. Listen.
Finally, the truth is being published in this morning's Texas Voice article entitled Dark Money Fueling Democrat Efforts in Texas. It reveals the millions of dollars raised by Texas Majority PAC, a partner of the Texas Democrat Party, and that it is funding nearly 2/3 of Democrat Taylor Remit's campaign. It also reveals over $7 million in George Soros' direct contributions. Check it out for yourself. The article is in the comments. Friends, over 26,000 Senate District 9 Republicans haven't voted. Run. Don't walk to the polls tomorrow, Saturday, January 31st, and vote in this special election. Only you have the power to keep Texas sane and free.
Yeah. Well, apparently her message wasn't heard, but we're hearing it loud and clear about who's funding it. So here's the moment of truth. That ice storm, right? Republicans are blaming. It didn't cause a 31-point swing. Dark money did. Soros money did. And 26,000 Republicans who thought their vote didn't matter. They handed Democrats this victory. This is what happens when we get complacent in Trump country. The bottom line is simple. No district is safe when billionaire leftists can dump unlimited dark money into local races. Texas just proved that conservative complacency equals conservative defeat. We can't let 26,000 Republicans stay home ever again because the radical left never takes a day off from trying to destroy our movement. They're coming for your district next with the same Soros playbook. The question is, will you let them flip your representative too? Or will you fight back? Let me know in the comments, and don't forget to check out the Next News merch shop for gear that shows you're part of the America First resistance. I sincerely hope you guys are paying attention tonight. That story should scare the hell out of you. It should scare you out of your seat, off of your couch. If you're one of those 26,000 in Texas that didn't show up, shame on you. Shame on you. And that's why we cannot let the midterms slide. We are going to have a serious freaking problem if we lose the House. A very serious problem. Brian, you can reset the Zoom and reset the clock. We're going to go into our fifth topic. I understand, Brian. I understand. Brian's doing what he can. We're going to get into some victories now. Some stuff we can celebrate a little bit on. And there were some big announcements out of the White House today. So we're going to get to that. Illinois is a perfect example of corruption between gerrymandering and illegal votes from illegal aliens and people who go to multiple polling places and cast multiple votes. Irakazak. Yeah, I hear you, man. Oh, I hear you loud and clear. He also says next they're going to put kill switches in pacemakers. Yeah. Okay. Nicki Minaj just dropped a political bombshell that has the establishment panicking. A rap superstar revealed the exact moment she decided to support Donald Trump, and her reasoning is making liberals lose their minds. What she said about the relentless attacks on Trump will shock you, and it proves something huge is happening in America right now. See, this is not just another celebrity endorsement. This is a cultural earthquake. Nicki Minaj has over 100 million followers across social media, and when she speaks, young Americans listen. Her revelation that she was driven to Trump because she recognized the same bullying tactics used against her exposes the left's playbook for all to see. This means millions of Americans who felt isolated and attacked are finding their voice through Trump's movement. The Democrats are terrified because their celebrity monopoly is crumbling right before our eyes. When one of the biggest names in hip-hop calls out their lies and manipulation, it signals a massive shift in American culture that could reshape politics forever. Speaking of people finding their voice and fighting back against the system that's been wearing us down, if you're like me, and you're getting to that age where your body just feels sluggish and off all the time, then listen up. Because recently I wasn't feeling great. I decided to call my friend Dr. Josh for some help. I told him what was going on, and his response, it kind of shocked me. He said most Americans are walking around with compromised liver function and don't even realize it. You see, your liver processes everything. Toxins, stress, the junk in our food supply. Up Wellness created Ultra Liver to support your body's natural detox processes so you can feel energized and sharp again. Just like America needs a detox from the establishment poison, your body needs support too. Get Ultra Liver at tryultraliver.com/NNN. Use code NEXTNEWS or use the code NNN for your exclusive discount Now back to this incredible story. Here's what the mainstream media will not tell you about Nikki's awakening. She didn't just randomly decide to support Trump. She had what she calls a premonition her whole life about having a second job to do. She texted someone during the campaign saying the attacks on Trump were a mistake and that it made her want to get into politics. See, it wasn't impulsive. This was destiny calling. And some other big wins, not just by pulling over the celebrity endorsements of one of hip-hop's biggest stars. President Trump has also just announced a major trade deal with India, lowering U.S. tariffs from 25% to 18% after speaking with Prime Minister Modi. This just happened today at the White House. Let's check in with the latest on that first.
President Trump lowers tariffs on India from 25% to 18%. He announced the deal in a True Social post after speaking with the Prime Minister Narendra Modi this morning. In exchange, the president said India will reduce their tariffs against the U.S. to zero. Modi also commented he committed to invest over $500 billion in U.S. energy, technology, agriculture, coal, and many other products. The two leaders also spoke on ending the war between Russia and Ukraine. President Trump said Modi agreed to stop buying Russian oil and buy much more from the U.S. and potentially Venezuela. He claimed this will help end the war in Ukraine, emphasizing thousands of people are dying every week.
Think about that. Going to buy the oil from us and not Russia. Trump's trade victory with India sets the stage, but watch how independent sources are already amplifying the win. A good explainer video of today's India and USA trade deal.
एक छोटा बदलाव लेकिन असर बड़ा। अमेरिका ने भारत पर लगने वाला टैक्स 25% से घटाकर 18% कर दिया। टैरिफ का मतलब होता है जब कोई देश दूसरे देश से सामान मंगाता है।
Yeah. We're going to pass that one up there. Good explainer video if you speak the language. Third-party validators are jumping in to explain the deal's significance. The momentum is building fast. National Defense writes, President Trump and Modi announced the final India-U.S. trade deal with tariffs. The coverage is spreading across multiple platforms, but this is where it takes an unexpected turn. Americans are overwhelmingly supporting deporting criminal illegals in local cooperation with ICE. Another major White House announcement today. We're shifting from the economic wins to domestic policy victories. Trump's agenda is firing on all cylinders. And here is the U.S. Attorney Pirro.
I do have a good relationship with the mayor. Look, this is about making sure that it's a partnership. It's the only way we're going to solve the problem, and we are solving this problem. We are solving more homicide cases than we ever have in the district. And the mayor now is seeing what this combined resource allocation is doing. We've got all kinds of benefits, technology and new databases, and plugging in all kinds of tracking that she didn't have before. And, you know, the mayor has always believed in making the city safe. What the president has done and what the Attorney General Pam Bondi has done is they've created the equation and the pieces to the equation that get us to the point where we get a good resolution. You know, my office is working every day on unsolved homicide cases. We've got more solved homicides than we've had in decades in the district. It's all about focus, partnership, and being serious and making sure that you don't say, well, this is a little different. You know, it's good enough right now. It's still not good enough, Martha. It's never good enough unless there's no crime.
Technology is giving us a leg up as our President Trump's policies, from immigration to crime fighting, the administration's tough policies are showing results. But wait to see who's noticing. Nicki Minaj says the vicious treatment of Trump drove her to support him.
What issue specifically, drew you in the most? Is it immigration? Is it the economic policy? Is it religious freedoms? What specifically, answers that calling that you talk about?
Definitely, religious freedom is something that's very important to me. But if I'm being honest, President Trump. Yes, because when I saw how he was being treated over and over and over, I just couldn't handle it. Because I felt that same a lot of that bullying and the smear campaigns and all of the lying, I felt that had been done to me for so many years. And I was watching it in real time happen to someone else. And I didn't think he deserved it. And it made me think, I can't do this anymore.
Nicki Minaj, celebrity endorsements are pouring in. Here's more from Nicki Minaj, her political awakening.
You've been recently very vocal about politics and social issues. Was there a specific moment that flipped the switch for you? Was it Gavin Newsom? Was it Nigeria? What made you wake up, so to speak?
You know what, Katie? I think that people's steps are aligned. I used to always tell people this when I was growing up, but I had this strong premonition my whole life that I had a second job to do. And this was, by the way, this was before I even made it in rap. Something inside of me just told me I would have another thing to do. And so actually, the first time I said it out loud or texted it was during the last campaign, the presidential campaign, this last one. I saw something and I texted someone I knew right away, and I said, this is a mistake. And I also said, all of this is making me want to get into politics. So the last thing that really did it was me seeing certain things, the campaign, this recent campaign, presidential campaign, and knowing that I could help, because the things that I was saying, it was happening. I was saying, oh, this is a bad idea, or this is a good idea, and the things I was saying were coming to fruition. And so it made me think, oh, this is easy. I mean, if it's this easy, then maybe I should do it. And then there was something that happened a few months ago that if I wasn't going to do it before, something happened a couple months ago.
What happened?
I don't want to talk about it, but I'll say that sometimes people can push you so much that they push you all the way into your next calling, into your next blessing, into your next life. And that's what happened with me.
Her next calling. Nicki Minaj isn't just endorsing Trump, she's explaining her political awakening in detail and goes deeper than expected. She saw the bullying, the smear campaigns, it had happened to her for years.
Religious freedom is something that's very important to me. But if I'm being honest, President Trump.
Multiple sources covering Minaj's bombshell. Her reasoning is resonating across social media. When I saw how he was being treated over and over, I couldn't handle it. I didn't think he deserved it. It made me think, I can't do this anymore. The Minaj story is exploding everywhere. Her personal connection to Trump's treatment is striking a nerve with millions. So the moment that broke Nicki Minaj was watching Trump endure the same relentless bullying she experienced for years. She said she couldn't handle it, didn't think he deserved it. That's when she realized she couldn't stay silent anymore. The left's weapon of destruction, character assassination through lies, finally backfired spectacularly. You see, this is what happens when Americans wake up to the truth. Nicki Minaj saw through the lies, recognized the playbook, and chose courage over conformity. Her massive platform is now amplifying the America First message to demographics the establishment thought they owned forever. This endorsement proves Trump's movement transcends traditional political boundaries. It's about recognizing truth and standing up to bullies. The cultural tide is turning, and the left knows they're losing their grip on the narrative. When hip-hop royalty calls out their tactics, millions of young Americans are listening and awakening to reality. Do you think that more celebrities will follow Nicki's lead and break free from the establishment's control? Let me know in the comments, and don't forget to check out the Next News merch shop for gear that shows you're part of this incredible movement that's taking back America. And there you have it, folks. 5 stories that paint a crystal clear picture of what we are really dealing with in America today. We started with Tim Walz accidentally admitting what we've known all along. Democrats have been lying about fraud while $19 billion disappeared on their watch. Now he and Keith Ellison are getting dragged before Congress, kicking and screaming. Then we expose Ilhan Omar's miraculous transformation from refugee to multimillionaire, with whistleblowers revealing how campaign cash flowed straight into family businesses while networks operated in plain sight. And the government shutdown story should infuriate every patriotic American. Democrats are literally willing to paralyze our government again rather than ensure only citizens vote in our elections. They'll shut everything down before agreeing to basic election integrity measures that any functioning democracy requires. Down in Texas, we witness what happens when conservatives get complacent. A 50-year Republican district just flipped blue because 26,000 GOP voters stayed home while George Soros poured $7 million into flipping one seat. This is their playbook, people. Massive dark money targeting districts where Republicans think they're safe. But we ended on a high note with President Trump delivering real victories, major trade developments with India that will benefit American workers for generations, and cultural figures like Nicki Minaj publicly explaining why they've joined the Trump movement. She couldn't stomach watching the relentless attacks on a man who didn't deserve that treatment. The awakening is accelerating. Now here's what ties it all together. On one side, you have corrupt politicians enriching themselves, Democrats protecting illegal voting, and establishment Republicans coasting while America burns. On the other side, you have Trump delivering wins, brave Americans exposing corruption, and ordinary citizens waking up to who's really fighting for their interests. This brings us back to this day in history. On February 2nd, 1848, America signed the Treaty of Guadalupe Hidalgo, adding over 500,000 square miles to our nation through strength and smart negotiation. You see, that's what happens when America acts decisively from a position of power. We win big. Today's stories prove we're in another defining moment. The swamp is panicking, their corruption is being exposed, and President Trump continues proving that America First policies deliver results. The choice could not be clearer. So before you go, grab your gear at the merch shop. You'll find it in the tray below this video. We've got everything you need to show your patriotic pride. Special thanks to our Super Chat contributors and everyone sending in the Rumble rants. You guys make the show possible. The raw truth is not always comfortable, but it's always necessary. So stay vigilant, stay informed, and never let them convince you that America's best days are behind us, because we are just getting started. I'm Gary Franchi. This has been the Raw Feed. Stay free.